do that.
I'm Megan. Megan, is she wearing a
Megan.
name tag?
I'm Megan. Megan is my virtual CFO rock star that keeps me on track with my money, and she could be yours too. So let's take a look at our topic for today because this hit hard yesterday with a couple of my clients, not just one, right? What to do when a potential client is trying to negotiate with you. And you actually had a different take on it than I did.
Mhm.
And so I want to point out that there are different stages of your business that you may respond differently to when a client is trying to negotiate with you, right? In the beginning, when you're a newbie and you yet have the confidence to set your prices at what you probably truly feel you're worth, you might react differently when a client is trying to negotiate with you. So I'll start with telling the story. Yesterday, a client, one in particular, there was a couple, but one in particular is having a situation with a potential client. This person happens to be an interior designer. Why are you charging for a consult? There's another interior designer that's not going to charge us for a consult. So, what makes you different? Right? And that's what the client is calling this designer to the table for. Why do you charge and someone else doesn't? And sometimes it's hard to justify to that end client, well, because I have the confidence that what I share with you during a consult is going to save you time, money, and mistakes, whether you move forward with me, yourselves, or someone else. Perhaps that other interior designer has not coached with Nancy and does not have those words besides a bunch of other words that I gave my client to share with her potential client to justify. The bottom line is what I'm known for is confidence is a brand that sells. Once you have the confidence that you are actually delivering what someone is really going to need and whatever you're selling them, it gets a lot easier to kind of stand in your power and not negotiate. So at this stage in my business, I don't negotiate. I teach my clients often to not negotiate or have a set amount in your mind already ready to negotiate if you want to. It makes you feel better, and a justification as to why, like take away a deliverable or modify your hours that you're delivering to somebody or modify the program you're selling to someone if you want to sell it for less, so that you still feel good about it, but you have to make sure that it's worth you working. Like, so many people negotiate their profit away, and then what's the point of working? It's a hobby then, which is okay if that's what you want it to be. But if you don't want it to be a hobby, stop negotiating so much, if at all. So that's my take on it. Yours is a little different. So share.
Yeah. So my take is, would I want to work with this person anyway? Like, am I just chomping at the bit because their business is so interesting? In my case, it's like, is their business so interesting? I just want to dive in and be like a kid in a candy store. Um, and I want to make that decision from a position of abundance and fun and how this could be a win-win instead of the scarcity, like if I don't take this client I'm screwed, like what if I don't get this client, what are these terrible things that are going to happen to me? Instead it's like, ooh, one, is it a person that I truly enjoy? Like, I am going to go have coffee with them regardless of if I get this contract or not, because they're just that type of an intriguing person. And two, do I have time? Do I have the bandwidth to work with this client? And then three, are they trying to negotiate with me because they just truly they cannot afford me? Or are they just negotiating because that's what they do? They
There's a
negotiate.
lot of people who negotiate just because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's part of their personality stamp. And that's okay. They're, or the way they were raised, however you want to say that. But and that's okay if that's what they want to do. But as the business owner, you have to decide in advance kind of what you're saying. Do I really want to work with them? Can I afford to take a pro bono job, right?
Mhm.
If you're going to do it for free, or reduce my pricing to such where I'm not making enough profit to stay within that 40 to 60% profit margin to run my business. Like, can I afford to do this is another thing, because I mean, listen, my daughter's coming up as a travel influencer on Instagram and TikTok, and people are contacting her all the time. Here's product. Can you do a post for me so that they sell more of their stuff? And I'm like, you know what? Product doesn't sell, pay the bills, right? So you can negotiate with people and make decisions to do that. But I also want to point out that there are other ways to be paid in air quotes, right?
Yes. Yes. And this begs the question, is this a win-win? And what can I get out of this, regardless of what the contract says? Like what's the upside? Is it going to hurt or is it going to benefit? And what are we going to
Right.
work out?
So, right. If I was coaching, like I'm going to give someone a couple of simple examples. When you're in the beginning of your business, there's bartering. I'm not against bartering. There are coaches that are against bartering, never barter, blah, blah, blah. But like, no, if I say to you, Megan, like, can you help me review my books once a quarter in exchange for, I'll give you a come live and exposure, right? In my group, which is not what we do, by the way. But it's like, that's a beneficial barter, right? If we were to barter. In a case of an interior designer, will that client invite you to the cocktail party after their home is completely done and invite you to meet all their friends? Or will they introduce you to some of their friends? Or are they a reporter and they'll write an article about you? Like, there are other ways of payment. However, those other ways of payment don't often pay the bills. So
Yes, yes. So this is the thing here, right? Like if you're bartering, is that something that you would pay money for anyway? So don't let them spend your money for you, like make that financial decision for you by saying, oh, I guess we can barter. So for instance, I have this really cute, wonderful coffee shop that just opened in town here. And she contacted me, and I know I'm out of her price range right now, but I was like, listen, I will 100% negotiate for store credit because I'm going to spend that much in her store over the next year anyway.
yes, right. But if you would have never gone into her store and she says to you, I'll give you a year's worth of coffee for free, and you're like, well, I don't drink your coffee and I don't need to spend anything with your store, then that's not a good negotiation.
Correct.
That was
Exactly.
a great point. If it's something you would have paid for anyway, and it's actually saving money from going out of your bank account, which, but then you also have to look, would it have come out of your business bank account or would it have come out of your personal bank account? And then can you pay your bills with the cash flow you have with that person who's trying to negotiate with you, right? I mean, in the case of my client yesterday, it was an interior designer being called in, charging a consult fee. The other interior designer he was putting her up against does not charge a consult fee. So how does she justify? Easy. Stand in your power. Confidence is a brand that sells. I'm going to always wonder, if they can charge for the consults, they probably are better or more experienced, right? So let's see who's somebody. We can't see your name. So it's going to say Facebook user. If you click the link above and give Be Live the permission, then we can see your name, whoever's commenting, and they don't haunt you. They don't send you anything. It's just literally giving permission inside of a private group to see your name, but I'm going to put it up anyway. I gave a flat fee to a client. He thought it was more than he wanted to spend, so I offered to do it by the hour. Do you see a downside to that? I do not see a downside to that. And that is part of the reason why I teach ladder of services, different service models that give you a starting point for someone who may not yet understand the value of what you do until they work with you for a little while, right? So sometimes you do have to convert from a full service design. This is an interior designer, I'm sure, a full service design to, all right, let's get a starting point of working hourly. And then once they trust you, you might be able to convert them. So it's also okay to negotiate in that respect. My issue, Megan, is always that I want these decisions to be made from a position of well thought out in advance, meaning you may not have that client in front of you right now. Oh, hi, Alex. Thank you, Alex. Go click the link above, Alex, to the Be Live and give us permission to see your name in the future. You only have to do it once and it allows it always, like Betsy. See, Betsy must have done it in the past because we can see her name. Hi, Betsy. So I just want my clients to have thought through, if a client ever negotiates with me, what am I willing to negotiate, to what extent? Or what am I offering them instead? Or if I say I can go down by this amount, but I'll have to eliminate this from the service package.
Mhm.
I want them to think it through. And that's often what I do in my one-on-ones with clients when they first start coaching with me. Let's think through all the different things that could happen when you go to that consult, when you're presenting your packages, whether it's a coaching package, a service package, an interior design package. What are you willing to negotiate? Let's think about it in advance. And this works really well with family and friends discount too. Like, you don't make this decision in advance and your aunt comes to you and says, "Can you help me do something?" And you're like, "I couldn't charge her. She's my aunt." Well, yes, you could have, had you said, "I normally charge this, but I'm giving you a friends and family discount is this." Because think about all the hours you're working with family and friends and not getting paid. And you could say to yourself, "Well, I don't have anybody right now anyway, so I just did it." But what you could have been doing during that time is marketing yourself, writing emails, doing posts, writing a blog, doing things that could get you business. But instead, you're trading your time for not marketing. So even potential clients may not have the opportunity to know that you can help them. Right.
Yeah.
So there's always a trade-off when you're negotiating. So you have to think about the trade-off and decide whether it's something that you are.
And part of that trade-off is going to be, give yourself a gut double check of, am I going to resent this person later for doing this?
Such a good point.
Yeah,
Such
yeah,
a
like,
good
you
point.
don't want it to sour the relationship, and that's probably even a negotiation point that you could, like, "Look, here's the thing. I have other clients that I service, and I wanna make sure that I don't resent our relationship. I cannot therefore, I can't discount this, I'm sorry, because if I do, it does not end well for us."
Correct. And that's also the same thing that happens when you're charging too little, right? If you're hating your job, that's what happens. So if you're going to negotiate it down to a level that you're going to be angry working with this person and rolling your eyes like, my God, they asked me another question because and they're only paying me blah, blah, blah. Whose fault is that? You allowed yourself to take less than was going to make you feel valued. And then you're going to be mad at them for asking a question, right? So this
Mhm.
dynamic is something I work with people all the time on, and I'm sure you do too. It's like, where's the sweet spot of I'm charging my value and I feel good about doing my job and I love my job and I'm helping people. And then someone wants to negotiate with me. This is where I never go below, right? Because otherwise I get mad and I get resentful and I hate myself and I hate my job, right? So you've got to keep it in that, you've got to keep it in that gap where you're happy and making
Mhm.
money so you can pay the bills. So what do you do when a potential client is trying to negotiate with you? Check in with yourself to see at what level you're okay with it and when it becomes not okay. And don't go below it and make these decisions in advance
Mhm.
so that you
Yeah.
don't get stuck like in that moment. Well, they were negotiating with me and I didn't know what to say because you haven't role played it. You haven't thought through what's your gut going to say before you start lowering your prices, right? I get mad when I mean, and I no longer negotiate, but I used to, of course. I mean, so many people start out in their business, and your business is not a straight line to like, oh, charging my worth and making all the money in the world. Sometimes there's a growth there that you start out negotiating a little bit more than you would like, and then you learn to get more confident and you make your decisions and know your worth. And as you go up the ladder, this decision and how you negotiate is going to change.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Flex that
okay,
muscle.
flex those confidence muscles, right?
Mhm.
So
And
again, I
if
get
you need
my
a good book
clients.
to read on negotiating, Never Split the Difference is so good. So
Ooh,
good.
I'm going to write that down. I've never read that book. Never
Oh my
Split the
gosh. The
Difference.
author's name is Chris something. Chris, his last name is not something, it's Chris. is his first name.
All right. Never split the difference. So
Never
I'm
split the
going to
difference.
get that book, add it to the
So
list of
good.
15 books that I'm reading simultaneously and getting so much out of all of them. But everyone, thank you for watching. If you're watching live, thank you. If you watch on replay, awesome. We are live on Instagram. I'm sorry, we're not live on Instagram. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to start doing that, set up my phone and we could go, oh no, because then they can't see you. Okay, forget that. We are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and all my Facebook locations for the most part. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back. Are we next week? We are next week, right?
Yeah.
We just
You're
did
here
this.
next week.
Oh, I'm here next week. I'm here alone next week. I'll pick my topic very shortly. And thanks for watching. Megan, tell them where to find you.
Come on over to megandahle.com and we'll work it out.
Absolutely. If you need help understanding your financials and getting them to a point where you actually feel like the CEO of your business, you want to talk to Megan. If you're struggling with getting the confidence to charge your worth, making enough money, growing your business process, marketing, sales, and all that fun stuff, that's where I come in. And remember that confidence is a brand that sells. So gaining confidence in running your business is what's going to change everything, including your bottom line. So I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Megan.